Hi, I'm Leticia Barbero, and I am a CIMAS employee. We're going to continue talking about the carbon system, but we're going to move from the global to the regional, and we're going to talk about ocean acidification, which is often referred to as the other carbon problem. So let's start with what is ocean acidification. What you see there, what you see in the red line, that's the increase in atmospheric CO2 levels. The green line is the seawater CO2 levels, and the blue line represents the pH. As more carbon enters the water, the pH is decreasing. This is making the water more acidic, and this is what we call ocean acidification. In addition to this, the concentration of carbonate ions is decreasing, and this is a critical issue because carbonate ions are the building blocks for a variety of organisms ranging from tiny plankton to crabs, oysters, coral reefs, and all of these are of significant economic value to the US. So in order to assess the vulnerability of the US to the impacts of ocean acidification, Congress passed the Forum Act that dictates that NOAA monitor ocean acidification. And the Ocean Acidification Program was created to address the needs of the Forum Act. Now, OAP calls for a three-pronged approach to study the vulnerability, but I'm going to focus here on the environmental component. I have to say that AOML is a major contributor to the NOAA OA research plan that's now up for public review and will be released in the next few weeks. Since 2007, we have been funded to conduct coastal ocean acidification programs. We lead the efforts in the Gulf of Mexico and the East Coast. We bring our decades of expertise in the go ship and repeat hydro programs to conduct these cruises to the same exact standards that we use for repeat hydro. And these cruises represent an excellent example for how we leverage resources, where OAP funds us to measure the carbon and nutrients in these cruises, but we collaborate with partners at the federal and at the academic level, both national and international, so that we can augment the number of parameters and the scientific output that comes out of these cruises. As to how our work is making a difference, I'm going to highlight 4 examples right now in a little more detail. We provide climate quality data sets of OA for the Gulf of Mexico and the East Coast. We partnered with NOAA and CEI and we submit them to them. They give us a citation link, a DOI. This is an example of our most recent Gulf of Mexico cruise where you can see there's a way to cite our data to properly acknowledge the funding agency and the work that we at AOML did. As to who's using our data, there's a large number of scientists that use it, and it's widely used for model training and validation. It's been used to improve our ocean acidification product suite. It's used for machine learning approaches. You heard yesterday about biogeochemical modeling efforts at PHOD. This is an example of that biogeochemical model in the Gulf of Mexico compared to our GOMEC data collected in the Gulf of Mexico in 2012. We are working with our partners at NCEI and PMEL to collect and produce the first US-wide coastal OA data product that will be following GLODAP and GoShip standards. And I want to take a minute to talk about our outreach and communication efforts here. What you see is a 2030 agenda for sustainable development that was signed by all UN member states in 2015. And this calls for a number of sustainable development goals to achieve this agenda. I want to focus your attention on goal 14, life below water, that has as target 14.3 to reduce ocean acidification. Now, this is one of our major science drivers now for our research, but in the UN definition for target 14.3, there is also an enhanced scientific cooperation at all levels. With this in mind, our lab has improved our outreach efforts. We are partnering with institutions in different organizations and nonprofits at the regional, national, and international level. And we are providing training to our colleagues in developing countries. We've visited their labs. They have come to AOML to learn how to properly monitor OA, how to increase their laboratory capacities so that their countries can reach the goals of the 2030 agenda. As to what's next for us, we already have the next couple of cruises, coastal cruises down the line. We are continuing collaborations with the Northeast Fisheries Science Center. We are adding an OA component to the hub work that's being done here. You're going to learn a little bit more about that in the next couple of minutes. And we are expanding our modeling efforts beyond the Gulf of Mexico to the East Coast. And finally, what NOAA strategic directives does our group address? The carbon group works towards climate adaptation and mitigation, healthy oceans, and resilient coastal communities and economies. And with this, I will leave you with my colleague Ian Enox.